All right, paddle buddies. So, one thing that I found important to understand in this time of transition is transition. Like, what are some of the typical things involved? Challenges, right? Um, so, you go in the military for 2 to 30 years, I guess. And life is kind of put on pause, right? And then you go into army mode. And the rest of the world out here is a place that we grew up in and kind of loses its familiarity. And our entire systems kind of become new, right? The acronyms, the daily stuff that we go and do, different factors, accountability, all those things. So, one of the things I know I personally struggled with for a really long time was um, like, how do you take this guy who is used to operating at a certain level with responsibility, and then you get the reset button, right? Hey, you get to come back to society. What does that look like? Well, things like the dentist, right? I hadn't gone to the dentist, hardly on active duty, because every single time that I was supposed to go to get my teeth checked out, we deployed or we went somewhere or some shit came up, right? Plus, who really wants anybody messing with their teeth? Not me. So things like the dentist. What hospital do you bring your kid to if you got to bring them to the ER, or your spouse or yourself? How do you use the VA services? You get out, and let's say that you never did a VA loan and you want to use that entitlement. Where do you go? How do you find out this information? Right? What does that look like? Food, you know? No more commissary. I guess that stuff's kind of changed up now. But Costco, Sam's Club, we got these fancy places here called Byerly's. There's Average Joe place called Cub, Piggly Wiggly down south, right? HEB, Texas. So establishing that life outside of your active duty years can be a little bit of a challenge. So ideally, what you will do before you get out is ask yourself, what are these things that I do right now, right? I've been living in the barracks for the last year because I'm Joe Private, and I'm going to have to find out how to rent an apartment. And what does that mean? That means I'm going to have to get cable, I'm going to have to get internet, satellite, I'm going to have to get phone service if you're still old school. You want to use that rotary dial thing, right? Um, I don't know. You wake up in the morning, PT, right? It's a big part of our lives. Be battle ready. How does that look? I know when I got out, I was hell bent of ever exercising again, and I got veteran fat. I hit 300 pounds, right? I became Mr. Dad Bod guy. When my kid was born, it was a big ass wake up call for me. So don't let those things slip. Um, that daily structure is huge. Um, what happens is I was reading an article over the weekend, and it said, I want to say it was 50% of people were unprepared when it came to transitioning out of active duty. And then there was another part that said that it was, I want to say it was 60 or 62% of people said that the process took longer to find a job than they anticipated. I see that all the time. I think it's actually higher in an area like Minneapolis because we don't have a huge veteran or an active duty presence here. We've got a lot of these National Guard guys around here, right? But that's different than being on active duty. Guard guys have got the luxury of going and playing Army on the weekends up at Camp Ripley, shooting a Ma Deuce and saying, hey, I went to the range, I played Army today, that was really fun. Or go to the airfield right down the street from me and go fly around or whatever the hell they do over there. I know it's too close to the airport to be hitting golf balls, but there is a golf course right up the street from me, now that I think about it. I got you, Air Force. Anyway, so I think when you get outside of these military areas, so when you guys start transitioning back to, nowhere Oklahoma or middle Montana, you're kind of like how we are in Minneapolis, right? Not a huge military presence. So I wouldn't be surprised if that number of how long it actually took to transition is closer to 85%. If you're in San Antonio or one of these other major markets, San Diego, these really popular places to retire from, it's different, right? Huge veteran community, huge military presence. Chances are a lot of contractors out in that area, or they've got job openings for you. If you spent 24 years in the Army, you're first sergeant, boom, hey, somebody probably needs an operations guy just like you that can go out and work with the military guys, right? Or at least understand these guys that are transitioning out. So you have more favorable circumstances in those areas. But to the rest of us, that's not necessarily the case. So, sounds like a problem, right? It is a problem. That's why when you're getting out of the military, you have to start transitioning as far out as possible. I got guys in my funnel right now that are 3-4 years out from retiring, and they're already starting to do the things that they need to do, like networking and talking to people that know them from back in the day. Who doesn't want to talk to that person that served their country for 20 years selflessly? Everybody wants to talk to that person. Don't overlook that resource, okay? So, my suggestion is when you're at least a year out, start. Time is your friend. Time is your enemy. If you can get out and show up to the TAP program, and I understand it's a good program, right? But if you can already do all the shit that you would have to do in a TAP class, like get a job, right? Great. Then you can use that time and those resources for other things. The Army, I know for sure, also has these fellowship programs where they'll let you go home for your last 6 months, and that corporation doesn't have to pay you. The Army still pays you. So there's all these amazing programs out there to take advantage of that will help you transition a hell of a lot easier. So write down a list of things that you think will be challenging. Write out what you think those solutions are. Bounce those off of whoever you can, okay? And tell them, hey, what am I not seeing? What are my blind spots? What are the weaknesses that I'm unaware of because I just spent 12 years on active duty, or I just spent 14 months, whatever it happens to be. Transition is not scary as long as you can manage it in an effective manner. So, anyways, guys, kind of changing things up here a little bit. We're going to be pushing this out to YouTube now. It helps us with the other vets that aren't on Facebook, because it's only old guys like me that are in their 40s, and there's a lot of 20-something-year-olds out there. And I'm converting all these into podcasts as well. So if you don't mind going on down below, clicking those links and subscribing and sharing them with your friends that are still on active duty, then they don't have to join the Battle Buddy page and they can get help elsewhere. So thanks for taking some time out to listen. Put some comments below or send me an email, whatever, if you want to chat, and we will do that. Have a great day. See ya.